Welcome back inside the State Champs studios for another edition of State Champs at the State Finals. I'm Jonathan Kidd, along with Milford track and field coach and our track analyst, Brian Sellers. Brian, welcome back.
Thank you, Jonathan. Always a pleasure to be here. Always excited to talk about track and field.
So we're going to recap the recent track and field finals, and all of our State Champs programming is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Be curious, make magic. Visit ltu.edu for more information. So let's get right into it, Brian. Let's talk about the Division I track and field finals at East Kentwood, and let's start with the boys. Kalamazoo Central wins its first state title since 1965. They edge out Chippewa Valley by 1 point.
It was a perfect mix in their lineup. They had a standout sprinter in Mr. Dixon, and they had a standout distance runner in Jasper Kane. They were able to score big points in a number of different events. You know, it's really cool when people say first title since 1965. That's a historic program that has done really well over the years. It's really exciting to see Coach Tyler Germain guide that team to a championship this year.
Let's talk about some other notable performances at the Division I state finals. How about Shamar Hurd from Chippewa Valley?
Oh, just a beast, and delivered time and time again. Watching that 400, him winning, great race. I mean, that's raised the level of competition for everyone. Coming back and doing it again in the 200, and then watching their 4x4 team. He is everything as advertised.
Yeah, he's off to Tennessee. And how about Holland West Ottawa? They broke a couple meet records in the relays.
Yeah, that 4x1 team actually was a great race. I happened to be down in the third exchange there, watching them and De La Salle kind of come through around that into that last straightaway. But Holland West Ottawa all season long has been the team to beat, and they proved why, shining in the biggest moment.
And then we had a great finish in the 300 hurdles with Lincoln Park.
Yeah, well, and it's a great finish and a great story because not a typical power in track and field at this level. From a school producing somebody that has made great strides. You know, wasn't capable of qualifying for this event last year. Was a mid-42 second hurdler and ran 37.93 to lean by 2/100ths of a second.
Nice little somersault there.
It might be training for gymnastics. I'm not sure, but he certainly navigated the hurdles quite effectively, and that was a great race for sure.
And how about Northville in the 4x8? They won the title for the third year in a row.
Yeah, and with a vastly different roster. Those are one of those things. That last year's team had 3 seniors on it, and then they had Herger as the anchor. He's the icon. He's the best 800-meter runner in the state, all classes. But they had to go out and find 3 other kids that could put him in position. And it's often the case he got the stick right at the forefront. He didn't have to run the spectacular race. I think the kids drew inspiration from him and put him in position to win that event. And then he came back and he won the 800. And then actually he came back and ran a phenomenal leg on the 4x4 team that scored a couple points for the team later in the day.
And how about the career for Seth Norder at Grand Haven?
Well, you're talking about a truly elite 1,600-meter runner. He ran a negative split race. Thomas Westphal of Anchor Bay, who took it out. Norder stayed composed, attacked. And then, the interesting thing about that is then Westphal came back in the 32, and he replicated the same race plan. He stayed composed, stayed relaxed. He ran negative splits, and he won the 3,200. So those guys are running at a pretty high level, and I believe they're going to be future teammates at the next level.
All right, on your screen right now, you're going to see the winners in the field events, but let's talk about a couple.
Yeah, I think for me, the most energetic event of the day was the boys high jump. We've seen that event take a dip in recent years, but there was an incredible field, and Brock Ferguson of Sturgis was the one that ended up coming out on top. And, that's up to 6'10", and that's a big jump for that young man. I believe when he jumped 6'7", he broke their school record, and then he jumped 6'8", 6'9", and 6'10", and had some great jumps at 6'11".
Yeah, he tried it. I got over there for that 6'11" jump, and he just barely missed.
Yeah, and so, like I said, the energy was great there. Another field event, Reese Emiot won the pole vault. He's the first sophomore to win the pole vault in over 50 years. So you see something like that, you realize that that's a big event for a young kid to take that top mark.
All right, let's talk about the ladies in Division I, and Oak Park does it again. Their 8th state title in the last 10 seasons. Brandon Giles has just built a juggernaut over at Oak Park.
Yeah, and like say, sometimes there's surprises at the state finals. This was not one of them. Their total of 88 points was more than second and third combined. Mm-hmm. So when you see that difference, and they leaned obviously on a couple of young athletes. Morgan Roundtree set a PR, won the 300 hurdles. Nevaeh Burns is a freshman coming in, won the 400, was part of those 2 winning sprint relays. And so now you're looking at that and saying that, like, old and the new are meshing together. Oak Park's going nowhere from the forefront of track and field in the state of Michigan.
Let's talk about some great races in the Division I finals. Let's talk about the career of Rachel Forsythe at Ann Arbor Pioneer.
Yeah, we know every time she toes the line, there's the capacity for an amazing record to be broken or to be challenged. This is no different than anything else. So, the standout race of her day, even though, we talk about she won the 3,200 but was the 1,600. She ran the number 2 fastest time all time, 4:38.28. And what's crazy about that is she wasn't on an island. Yeah. We saw Selma Anderson run the number 7 all time. A young lady ran 4:40 and lost in the 1,600. That's mind blowing. And when you saw the type of race that Rachel ran, and it inspired others to find that in them, that was pretty cool. And she ran a great race in the 4x8. She just got beat. Yeah. West Ottawa put together an outstanding 4x8, and those girls ran scared and won from the front, and that was really cool to see. But yes, there was some outstanding distance performances on that day.
Yeah, and they won the 100 hurdles as well in Arbor Pioneer.
Yeah, well, Maya Rollins is a phenomenal athlete that can do a lot of different things. So and that's how you end up with state runner-up trophy, right? Yeah. Instead, Oak Park clear of everybody else. That runner-up trophy is pretty coveted and fought for.
Yeah, Sturgis also had made some noise on the girls' side. They won the 100-meter dash,
and that was a wide-open event. And those were kind of where you get to see people that maybe haven't seen each other all year. They're not coming from the same areas or different, from the same regions, and you got to see those line up. And that was an outstanding performance in that regard as well.
Let's give a shout out on the screen for our state champions in the field events. Let's spotlight a couple of them. How about Abby Russell at Allen Park?
Yeah, you have to start there, right? Anytime you win 2 events at the state finals, and when it's 2 field events, when you win the shot and the disc, I know people think, they're same. You're just throwing objects. But the technique, the preparations, the things are vastly different, and it doesn't necessarily command the same person. So the same talents. And so when a person is able to do that, they're pretty special.
And how about in the high jump? That was an exciting high jump between Salem and Mercy.
Yeah, you had a couple great elements there. When you're talking about Milana Chevrolet, she's somebody that's won a champion coming back to defend again and again. So, and then you look at the level of competition. Her and Madison Morson from Salem have had battles before, and they're competing at a very elite level. And then you have some call it upset. Like I said, when you're competing at that level, I think it was just that quarter-inch difference on that day. But it was pretty strange watching the girls jump at 6 feet at that point, and the boys' competition was at 6 feet at the same time.
Shout out to Madison. She's going to be playing college basketball at Central Michigan.
That good to keep her at home. We see these kids go off and do all kinds of things all across the country. We like it when some of our Michigan kids stay around here and excel at local colleges and universities.
All right, we head to Hamilton High School for the Division II state finals, and in the boys, we had Berrien Springs coming home with the state title.
Really exciting for them. Last year, Corunna was the champion. This year, they finished runner-up. Berrien Springs outscored them. And that's the type of thing. Corona threw 38 at the board. Berrien Springs came back with 40. They were powered by Jake Mackinac, sprinter. He won the 100, he won the 200, and then he anchored the winning relays in both the 4x1 and the 4x2. So you're talking about you can't do it with one person in that format. You need guys to get that baton around. But they had the top dog in that meet, and that led them to the title.
And let's talk about some notable performances at the Division II for the boys.
I think you had a couple of those. You really had great shot put competition. Gabe Van Sickle and Brendan Faber. Gabe ended up winning with 61 feet 2 inches. That was really cool. You also saw things like Paul Moore finishing second to TJ Hansen in the 1600, and just like we talked about, Westphal coming back and winning the 3200 in a close race. So that was really cool. Marshall's Jack Bidwell, he put up a monster split to power his team's 4x8 to the championship. So you saw that, and he later came back and placed. And I think the other thing that stood out in the D2 boys race, Stevensville Lakeshore won 2 of the verticals, both vertical jumps, but they were both freshmen.
Oh, nice. And
so when you see Declan Doro win the high jump and then Caden Griffiths win the long jump, you got to believe there's a future for that team in D2.
All right, let's move over to the ladies in Division II, and congratulations to Dearborn Divine Child. It's their first state title in 11 years.
Yeah, and Danny Foster's first season coach. He's a veteran coach, first year at Divine Child. He had a nice mix of athletes. Aubrey Wilson was the featured athlete, won the 100, was second in the 200, and then ran leg on the second place 4x2 and fifth place 4x1. They got contributions in a number of different areas, and that kind of put them in a realm of scoring that the others just couldn't compete.
Let's give some shout outs to some individual state champions at the Division II finals, and it seems like we've been talking about Drew Moeller for a few years now.
Yeah, and lived up to that. It lived up to that reputation at the state finals this year. Anchored a 4x8 team to victory, won the 1600, and then anchored the 4x4 team to victory. So 2 relay wins and an open win. That's a big deal at on that stage.
And how about Layla from Goodrich in the 800?
Yeah, in a race that was a super fast race, all 8 of the placing athletes recorded lifetime best times. Hers was the best of the group, and she broke the D2 meet record.
How about Cindy Kuhn from Saginaw, Swan Valley?
Well, anytime you win 2 sprint races at the state finals, you have positioned yourself among the elite of your sport. So she won the 400 and the 200. That's quite an accomplishment.
All right, on your screen right now, you're going to see the winners in the field event. We're going to take a quick break in the studio, and we're going to show now the highlights from the recent Upper Peninsula State Finals.
The 2024 UP Track and Field Finals took place in Kingsford. We'll start with the boys Division II 4x800 relay. In first place was the Munising Mustangs, a team consisting of Zach Lindquist, Dylan Atkinson, Trevor Nolan, and Dan Goss, who finished with a time of 8 minutes 50.22 seconds. The boys D3 4x800 race was won by Forest Park. Max Mainville, William Hoffman, Joey Mainville, and Isaiah Tarter combined for a best time of 8 minutes 57.36 seconds for first place. Dollar Bay was second with St. Ignace third. The D1 girls 4x800 went to the Houghton Gremlins. Ayla Miller, Lily Ross, Tessa Rodiola, and Roman Trevian Peterman combined for a time of 10 minutes 10.38 seconds for first place. Sault Ste. Marie was second with Marquette third. The girls Division II 4x800 is next. Hancock's Ella Karanen, Jaina Karanen, Raina Towels, and Brielle Kiro combined for a season best time of 10 minutes 41.48 seconds for first place. Second went to Ishpeming with Pickford third. And in the Division III girls 4x800, Finea Bloom, Kaylin Clark, Samantha Taylor, and Abby Taylor crossed first with a time of 10 minutes 24.16 seconds. Stevenson was second with Ewan Trout Creek third. Moving on to the boys 110-meter hurdles. Beginning in Division 1, first place went to Gladstone's Luke Brackett, who crossed with a time of 15.09 seconds. Brody Madela of Houghton was second, and Brady Major from Negaunee was third. The Division 2 110-meter hurdles is next. Joe Kelly, representing Munising, finished first with a time of 16.46 seconds. Second went to Ishpeming's Tremont Gauthier, and Ironwood's Talon Hughes was third. And in the Division 3 110-meter hurdles, first place goes to Johnny Ingalls out of St. Ignace. He crossed with a time of 16.39 seconds. Second was Lake Linden-Hubbell's Gabe Popko, and third went to Connor Kempinen of Lance. Moving on to the girls' 100-meter hurdles now. In Division 1, Sadie Rogers of Negaunee came in first with a time of 16.65 seconds. Annabelle Fazzari out of Sault Ste. Marie is second, with Negaunee's Madison Peckrell coming in third. In Division 2, Lauren Zawada from Bark River Harris is first with a time of 17.74 seconds. Second went to Sienna Stein of West Iron County, with Addison Peasy of Hancock third. In Division 3, Forest Park's Ava Fisher crossed with a time of 16.68 seconds. Second went to Autumn Tremblay from Brimley, with Avery Visnoff from St. Ignace third. Time to kick it up a notch with the boys' D1 100-meter dash. Kingsford's Michael Floriano just beats the rest of the competition with a time of 11.54 seconds for first. Second went to Nate Young out of Gladstone, with Marquette's Tucker Welch third. In Division 2, Iron Mountain's Matthew Kolovecki ran an 11.44, good enough for first place. Second was Talon Hughes from Ironwood, and third place went to Reese Cody from Munising. In Division 3, Bessemer's Tommy Trudgeon finished first with a time of 11.46 seconds. Newberry's Kennedy Depew was second, with Matthew Jokala from Lake Linden-Hubbell third. Next up is the girls' Division 1 100-meter dash. JC Toulouse from Gladstone crossed with a time of 12.65 seconds for first. Second is Caitlin Strom from Calumet, and in third is Lauren Sundquist out of Gladstone. In Division 2, West Iron County's Danikin Shamian is your winner with a time of 12.85 seconds. Second is Mackenzie Hoffmeyer out of Bark River Harris, and in third was Munising's Sabrina Smith. In Division 3, Lake Linden-Hubbell's Emily Jokala clocked a 13.04 for first place. Destiny Blow from Big Bay Danock was second, and in third, Violet Amos from Ontonagon. In the boys' 100-meter D1 adaptive race, Marquette's Jim Bennett is first with a time of 24.50 seconds. Johnny Osborne was second with a time of 26.08 seconds. Moving on to the girls' D1 300-meter hurdles, Annika Oshelski out of Sault Ste. Marie finished first with a time of 48.29 seconds. Second was Sadie Rogers from Negaunee, and in third is Marquette's Chloe Jackson. In Division 2, Bark River Harris's Lauren Zawada crossed first with a time of 50.92 seconds. Dane Benning from Munising was second, with West Iron County's Sienna Stein third. Jumping to the boys' D2 800-meter event, in first was Pickford's Hayden Hagen, who crossed with a time of 2 minutes, 5.03 seconds. Munising's Dan Goss was second, and in third, Elijah Sprague out of Rudyard. In the D3 800-meter, first went to Calvin Kidda out of Chassel. He finished with a time of 2 minutes, 3.62 seconds. Second was Newberry's Garrett Lewicki, and in third was Brady Axford out of Lake Linden-Hubbell. And we'll end with the girls' 800-meter race in Division 1. Negaunee's Kira Waterman placed first with a time of 2 minutes, 28.20 seconds. In Division 2, first place went to Ishpeming's Lola Corpy, who crossed with a time of 2 minutes, 26.36 seconds. And finally, the D3 800-meter went to Faith Cappert from Stevenson, who clocked a time of 2 minutes, 25.91 seconds for first place.
All right, Brian, some great competition up in the UP.
Well, I think despite the fact that they have such a shortened season, you see some talented athletes in the Upper Peninsula State Finals, and you see some outstanding performances where they're really accumulating a legacy of their own against the competition that they're competing against.
And we recap the Division III State Finals, and we go to Kent City High School. In the boys, it's Pewamo-Westphalia coming through with the state championship.
Yeah, Scott Werner's the coach over there. He's no stranger to championships. His girls' team has won 4 titles in the recent years. This time it was the boys' team at Pewamo-Westphalia to come through. Last year they were runner-up to Benzie. This year they were not to be denied. Trevor Smith won the 100, and I think that kind of gathered the momentum and got things rolling. But they scored in all facets of their lineup. They had some distance running points. They had a really exciting shot put competition in which Gavin Newberry won by 1 inch. He threw 60 feet 2 inches, and then Lawton's Mason Main threw 60 feet 1 inch. So you saw Pewamo really came with a team component.
There were some outstanding races in the boys.
Well, a meet record by Standish Sterling in the 4x100 meter relay. Anytime you set a meet record, that's a big deal. You had Brad White of Clare win the 800 and lead off the winning 4x4. You had Jerry Wagers of North Muskegon. Here's a guy again, long sprint double, won the 400 and won the 200. You saw some real standouts at that meet in D3.
All right, on your screen right now, you're going to see the winners in the field events. And let's go to the girls in Division III. And congratulations to the girls from Hart High School. It's their 3rd straight Division III state championship. Seems like it's track and cross country. They just dominate.
Yeah, and what's unique about this, and I do believe this is the first D3 girls program to win 3 in a row. So it's hard for people to create history. They're doing that. And you mentioned the cross country element. They have been on the back. The backbone of their track success has been in the distance races. This year's a little different. And Addison Hovey took it to another level. She had won the high jump before, came back and won the high jump this year, but she added a win in the 100 and the 200. So sprint powered.
There were some messages on our State Champs Instagram about when are you guys going to talk about Emery Ross from Onstead? She's a star in the making.
Well, how much time do you have? Because we have enough material to talk about her for days. Completing an amazing quad at the state finals. She won the 1600, she won the 400, she won the 800, and she won the 3200. And in each of those events, she registered times that were competitive in any field. But when you put them all together, very daunting for the competition.
All right, on your screen right now, you're going to see the winners in the field events. We had the Hudsonville in Division IV, and congratulations to Fowler High School for winning the boys state championship.
Fowler won the boys and the girls. Yeah. Different routes, same team. Fowler boys did a great job. They entered the last event, the 1600 meter relay, knowing that the outcome was still in contention, and they were able to win that race. And then Detroit Douglas, Frederick Douglas, was placed in that event, but did not place high enough to displace the point total. So congratulations to Fowler. They got what they needed, and that was the difference.
Yeah, you mentioned about Detroit Douglas, man. They made some noise, and they were the runner-ups.
Yeah, Anthony Buford made some noise. Meet record 23-foot 2-inch long jump, and then came back and added a 400 win, running sub 50 in that event. And so that's really cool to watch somebody compete in those events at that level.
Any other notable performances in the running?
I kind of skipped over. Brady Feldposh of Fowler was first in the 110 hurdles, was on the winning 4x2 team, was second in the 300 hurdles, and was part of that winning 4x4 team. So he was certainly the motor that made that vehicle go. There was also a meet record by Owen Patton of Vestaburg in the 800. 153.53, outstanding time. And Mount Clemens broke the meet record in the 4x1. So we saw kids taking advantage. We had nice weather in some places. Then we got some rain, but the temperatures were moderate, and the competition was fierce, in and out all day long in all the divisions. On your screen right now is our champions in the field events. And you mentioned earlier in our Division IV recap, Fowler won the girls. Just talk about their success this year. The Fowler girls, first-year coach, Neil Hofnagel, and he took over for Jill Feldebush, and she had great success. They've won 5 titles. That program had a stock cabinet when he took over, but he brought them to the very, very top. And so that was really cool to watch, as they only won one event, and that event was the 4x4. And that was already, and the victory was already sealed at that point. So that was kind of a thing that they can nickel and dime their way all the way to the top.
Any other notable performances in the running events at Division IV?
Well, yeah, there's a number of. Aiden Harand.
Seems like we said her name over the last few years.
Yeah, we have, because now she has, by winning the 400 and the 1600, she has accumulated 8 track state titles to go with 2 state cross-country titles. Certainly has created a legacy at that level.
And how about Allie Nowak from Johannesburg-Lewiston, a meet record in the 800?
Yeah, when you're running 2:13, and sometimes people look down the division list and see some of those things, that's a competitive time in any division, any race.
And also, too, you have Frankfurt, a meet record, and also Portland St. Patrick.
Yeah, that's the thing. When 4x1, 4x2, outstanding races, you have that competition, and that was Frankfurt in the 4x1 set the meet record, and Portland and St. Patrick in the 4x2. And then, we got to see a lot of doubles here. Molly Browdham Addison won the 100 hurdles and the 300 hurdles. We got to watch Olivia Finley of Marlette win the long jump and the high jump. And then we got to watch Kaylee Livingston of Whitmore Lake anchor the winning 3,200 meter relay and then winning the 3,200 meter run.
On your screen right now is our champions in the field events. All right, Brian, before we wrap this up, just your final thoughts on the 2024 track and field season.
Well, I think we had weather that at the state final level that opened the door for great performances, and you heard us recite meet records, outstanding, elite times, amazing quads, and there's so many stories to be written. Some of them in the team format, some of them in a single performance, some of those in the legacy those athletes leave after multiple years of performances. This year was an outstanding year for track and field, and I think that it is one that we will look back very fondly from a record perspective in the future.
And just think about it, in a couple months, it will be cross-country season.
The distance runners in the state of Michigan are now starting to lay their plans for the summer and look forward to competing in the fall for sure.
So that is it for another edition of State Champs at the State Finals. Congratulations to all of our state champions.
State Champs at the State Finals is presented by Lawrence Technological University. Be curious, make magic. Visit ltu.edu. State Champs at the State Finals is also brought to you by the Michigan High School Athletic Association, promoting the value and values of educational athletics. The Michigan Army National Guard, a proud sponsor of the MHSAA. The Detroit Athletic Club Foundation Male and Female Athlete of the Year Awards. To see previous winners, go to dacathleteoftheyear.com.